Phillies and gentle cults, I welcome you to another edition of Pony Fanfiction Theater. I'm your host Nate. I will be your narrator as usual. With me is Edgewood, Blake83, and John.
Yeah.
Hello.
And this story is called Crusaders of the Lost Mark. It is a crossover of the Kingdom of Crusaders plus Indiana Jones kind of story, like, here. Read along if you like on the description. Let's begin. Climb! The singular urge drove him to traverse a near vertical cliff, one straining hoof at a time, finding purchases in a thin divots. He knew to fall would mean the end. There was no bottom to the depths beneath him, only darkness. Catch up! His mist-shrouded opponent bounded ahead of him, nearly floating up the treacherous wall. Try as he might, he could not shorten the distance between them. The more he tried, the more difficult the footing. The more his target got away. He reached out to gain another small cleft. He lost his grip and fell tumbling into the dark. As he fell, the other kept climbing. He caught sight of his own hooves. The flesh aged off in the desiccated strips until his forehead legs were naught but bone. His dissolving skull let out a scream. He awoke in the darkness to the sound of his own yelling. After a few moments of disorientation, he realized he was in a relative safety of his tent. More nightmares, he muttered, staring passively at the tent wall in the dark for a few moments. As dark thoughts turned in his head, he decided now was a good time as any. He lit a candle and checked the small clock nearby. It was still a couple of hours until dawn. No better time to get up than finish my journey to the next town, he thought resignedly. He hauled his body out of under the blankets, wincing at the usual ailments his frame saw to fit to remind him and consulted the map that he had laid out of the night previous. Traveling south along that road yesterday had led to a fork he noticed at lunchtime, and this road will take him over the border into Equestria, right through a town called Ponyville. He snorted a bit at the map. These equestrians were certainly not the most creative with names, were they? Regardless, there would be paying customers. A farming community always had knives to sharpen and plows to repair. More funds for his journey. A journey to nowhere, and an insistent thought nagged. But he pushed that to the back of his mind and dragged on his work, hiding his shame as he began his routine. With effort backed by sufficient grunts, groans, aches, and pains, the old pony packed his camp back to his wagon and began his journey to the next destination, with the sun just staring to make light on the horizon. The sun hadn't yet burned off the morning mist when Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Twilight Sparkle emerged from the library. All of the group save for the party ponies seemed to drag their hooves listlessly, their eyes full of fatigue. Pinkie kept up a perky hop in her step as she started speaking in her usual cheerful abandon. "That was an awesome sleepover, Twilight. I had so much fun, especially when we started reading that scary story Applejack bought over." She adopted a looming pose. "The Legend of the Black Butcher." Fluttershy cringed. "Please don't bring that story up again," she near whispered. "It gave me such bad nightmares. I couldn't sleep at all." "We remember," Twilight and Applejack said in a deadpan unison. "Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's not like we minded you sleeping next to us." Twilight interrupted in what she hoped was an assuring voice. "Just try to hold a pillow next time instead of our heads." Applejack shook her head. "I'll never get how a pony with such a warm heart can have such cold hooves." Their conversation was cut short when an entire square was suddenly enveloped in thick fog. The group let out muffled gasps of surprise as their vision was cut into inches. A moment later, a voice called out from above. "Everyone okay down there?" Twilight recognized Rainbow Dash's voice. "We're all fine. What happened to the weather?" "A cloud machine kinda went haywire and now, well, you can see what happened, or not." Dash giggled at her impromptu joke. "Anyways, we'll have it all cleared up pretty quick. Just be careful walking around down there. Better come and tell us all about it later." Pinkie shouted out. "You bet, Pinkie. See ya." After their goodbyes, the group stood around quietly to the ever-shifting whiteness. Applejack was the first to break the silence. So, reckon we should chance it and try for Pinky's place? Oh yeah, we're gonna have breakfast at Sugar Cube Corner. I totally forgot about that. Jeez, where's my brain this morning? Lost in the fog? The group had a good laugh, save for Fluttershy, who was too busy shaking. Oh dear, we should get inside. Which way what is inside again? The gang looked around, and the entire square was blanketed in thick, rolling walls of cloud. Despite the fact it was morning, the fog had reduced things to near twilight. Sugar Cube? Asked AJ. Do you remember which way is your place? I sure do. It is this way. No, it's this way. Oh, this way. Oh, fiddlesticks. Hey, maybe we can ask that pony. They looked as a ghostly, etherical figure came through, stepping through the murky gloom towards them, glowing a pale green, his hoofsteps echoing curiously, wreathed in black, clutching in what appeared to be a large executioner's axe. Fluttershy realized he looked kind of familiar. In fact, he looked like... Eep! It's the Black Butcher! She exclaimed, the fog eating her voice as she took off into the air, disappearing from view. The other ponies gasped and drew closer together, but as the figure came closer, they realized it was just his lantern, the oil responsible for the green glow. It hung off an oblong sign, which, in the fog, somewhat resembled an axe. The sign simply read, "Open." Seeing the four ponies watching him, he put it down and eyed them for a few moments before speaking. Is Ponyville excuse me? asked Twilight. This place is Ponyville? He gestured with a hoof. Twilight noted how nicked and worn it looked. Whoever this strange pony was, he had not only come a long way, but he'd seen many hard days. Yes, this is Ponyville. Welcome to our humble town. I'm Twilight Sparkle, at your service. This is Applejack, Rarity, and Pinkie Pie. You managed to scare Fluttershy coming out of the fog like that. And our friend Rainbow Dash will turn up later, I'm sure. Who are you? I have many names, but you call me Smithy. I'm a traveler. I'm a blacksmith, at your service. Blacksmith, huh? I think I have a few tasks for you if you're not busy. Busy is what I come here for. Offer services? You pay in place to stay? Food? Extra bits you have? Ah, food. Food I can do for. I get a nice little place just out of the way for you to be staying at. If you take a look at our plows, a few buckets, size, axe. AJ rattled off a list of miscellaneous tools that needed a touch of blacksmith, and finished with, and my shoes are all worn, and Big Mac's been after me to repair the cider still since last year's accident. I'll pay you for your services. You can take what water and apples you need, and I'll have Granny Smith bake you one of her special pies. Smithy blinked. You have big schlopnicks? We don't have too many blacksmiths around here. Gotta get them done while you can. The noonday sun shone high in the sky as Smithy rolled into the clearing. Unhitching the wagon from his back, he started unpacking his wares. The kiln was set up first. It would take a while to heat. The anvil was heavy, and it had to be secure and level. The tongs and quencher bucket were simple, just a matter of placement. What you doing? Asked a small voice from inside the bush. Smithy stopped and trotted over to the bush. What is we having here, da? Is Toknik Bush? The bush shook. My name's Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom is a funny name for bush. I'm a pony, mister. Apple Bloom popped out proudly and then crouched down shyly. Apple Bloom is making more sense now. Good morning, Miss Bloom. It's past lunchtime, and it's Apple Bloom. But good day is a way of saying goodbye in home country. Smithy turned unceremoniously back to his tools. What is you want, Teak? I just want to watch. Watch? Watching is little fun for little pony. Smithy think little pony want to try hoof at making tools. Can I? I mean, I don't know. I never thought of being a blacksmith, cause my name is Apple Bloom and my sister's Applejack and her brother's Big Mac, which makes him my brother too. and they have apples on their flanks, and I thought I would have apples on my flank when I get my cutie mark, which I don't have cause I don't know what I want to do and what I want to know so I can get my cutie mark. And every pony has a cutie mark, and I don't yet, and I want it now. Smithy blinked. Little pony, he said softly. Not all pony have cutie mark. Apple Bloom blinked and looked again, her child mind latching onto that last phrase like a lamprey. She trotted closer to the blacksmith and gave him a good looking over as he was settling things up. His head appeared gray with a black mane, but the rest of him wore a thick, heavy smock that covered most of his frame. On impulse, she looked up to peel the back part of near his flank. He jerked back with a start. No, do not be sneaking up and play with things. I'm not a swing set to play on. I just wanted to see your cutie mark. He started to scowl. That is it. You are being too much distraction. You must go, so I may work. But I just leave. He stamped his hooves and angrily pointed the way out. Apple Bloom turned and fled, her mind stuck on that suspicious behavior. Smithy's legs felt weak again. He took a moment to sit down on his haunches and scowled at the ground. That had been too close for comfort. Apple Bloom, Scootaloo, and Sweetie Belle stalked through the undergrowth as unconspicuously as possible. Kitty my Crusader, perimeter patrollers, Argo, hissed Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom, what are we? Asked Scootaloo. Shh, target is acquired. What's the target? Asked Sweetie Belle. He is. Apple Bloom pointed to the blacksmith, hard at work with one of her big sister's plows. We're watching him. Why are we? Shh, Apple Bloom, said Apple Bloom again. The blacksmith huffed and sighed, putting down his hammer and tongs. He wandered over to the bush and stopped in front of it expectantly. He sees us, hissed Sweetie Belle. Abort mission! Abort! Abort! Said Smithy. Shh! This disguise is perfect. He can't possibly. The other little ponies being right. Wouldn't be much harder to spot trouble-making ponies if we're not a big box ring-knock ponies. What is you wanting, tiny ponies? We just wanted to watch. Please to be coming out of the box. It's hard to talk through mail slot. Introduce yourselves. The ponies reluctantly took the box off and stood sheepishly in front of the much larger, older blacksmith. Ah, little girl ponies, no wonder you're hidden in bushes. Come if you must watch. Smithy will be showing you how it's done. Da, said Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle. Apple Bloom pouted and then followed. So why do we gotta stand way back here? We can't see nothing, Apple Bloom yelled from behind the divider. This for many reasons, Smithy declared as the little fillies heard the scrape of metal on the metal. First reason you keep in you harm's way. Sparks are hot and could burn little ponies. Second reason is keeping you out of Maine while I'm at work. Third reason so we all have space for you to help. The trio's eyes lit up as this third reasons as they all voiced out in a boisterous union. Cutie my Crusader blacksmiths, yay! Da, Smithy regretted it instantly. Although he had to admit to himself that this cute yet terrible trio were growing on him. Are you seeing things that look like lopsided accordion? Apple Bloom looked, and indeed seen a contraption hooked up to a hose leading around the corner. Uh-huh. That is being called a bellows. Blacksmith used to pump air into forge. Forge get very hot with bellows. Can shape metal very well with high flame. Two of the Crusaders attempt to pull it down with their hooves, but under the meager ministrations, it was less of a bellows and more of the puffs. Relax, fellow Crusaders, I got this, said Scootaloo, as she scampered back a ways and came running at the contraption at full force. Ah, no! Cried Smithy as he reached out over the divider to intercept the filly, but it was all for naught. Scootaloo took a run and a jump, flapped her wings as hard as she could, and leapt into the air, clearing Smithy's hooves by inches to land on the bellows, and after a rather stunning backwards flip. The bellows went down. The flame came up. Yah! Smithy ran in a panic towards the quenching bucket, made on fire, and unceremoniously dunked his head into it with a sizzle. There was a scorched smell in the air as the injured blacksmith slumped over, trying to snort last of the water out of his nostrils and ears. The Crusaders were completely silent. And we'll continue on this in part 2.